All right, I call this meeting of School District 5 Board of Trustees to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mark Cornick, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Trustees, have you had time to review the minutes?
I have, yes.
Yes, Jack has. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So made.
I'll second.
All right, Jack makes the motion and Stu seconds. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. Scott, you're online, aren't you?
I am. I approve.
Okay, and Amy, you're online?
Yes, I say aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Looks like we're a couple of trustees short tonight, but. Public comment. So this is the time for the public to address the Board of Trustees on items that are not on our agenda and within our jurisdiction. We ask the public who's addressing the trustees to limit your conversation to your comments to about 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the Board of Trustees?
Hello, my name is Sean Pandina. Tonight I came to talk to you about a couple of things with me. Nothing to hand out tonight. First one's the Constitution of the United States. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That's right at the beginning of the Constitution. Similar document, the Montana State Constitution, right at the very beginning of that. We, the people of Montana, grateful to God for the quiet beauty of our state and the grandeur of our mountains, the vastness of our rolling plains, and desiring to improve the quality of life, equality, opportunity, and to secure the blessings of liberty for this and future generations, do ordain and establish this Constitution. In Article 2 of this Montana State Constitution, all persons are born free and have certain inalienable rights. They include the right to clean, healthful environment, the rights of pursuing life's basic necessities, enjoying, defending their lives and liberties, acquiring and possessing, protecting property, and seeking the safety and health and happiness in lawful ways. And enjoying these rights, all persons recognize the corresponding responsibilities. The theme in both of those parts of those two great documents that were formed many, many years ago by very intelligent men is liberty. And I have the definition from Merriam-Webster of liberty. Liberty is a noun. It's a quality or state of being free, the power to do so as one pleases, the freedom from physical restraint, and the freedom from arbitrary or despotic control. Now, you might ask yourself what despot is, so I got the definition of that from Merriam-Webster as well. It's a ruler with absolute power and authority, one exercising power tyrannically, a person exercising absolute power in a brutal, oppressive way. The reason I bring up these points is because it was very clear by the voters of Montana, and especially in this county of Flathead County, that we don't like tyranny. We don't like the leader that we had, and he's gone, and we didn't bring his successor in. We brought in a completely different leader for the state of Montana and the Flathead County. All of you in here, according to the Montana Code 20-3-307, has to take an oath of your office. Person who receives a certificate of election of the trustee under the provisions of 20-3-13 or 20-20-416 may not assume the trustee position until the person is qualified. The person shall qualify by taking an oath of office administered by the county superintendent. Every single teacher in the school also takes an oath. And right at the top of the oath, it says, I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Montana. And it'd be my comment tonight that liberties have certainly been taken away from the students. They're being denied liberty. It came from a tyrannical directive. It's not a law. And that governor is out of Montana. He's going to be, come January, he's gone.
Thank you.
So I would hope that you would consider revisiting the mass directive and changing that the day that he's out of office, because I've already spoke to the Montana legislature and they're going to get rid of it if Gianforte does not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else wish to address the Board of Trustees? One-on-one. There it is. Okay.
Hi, this is Tara Lee. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tara.
Hi. Oh, sorry, hold on. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
all right. I'm a parent of 2 students who do remote learning. I am a nurse at the hospital, and I wanted to just say thank you to every single one of you and to every single one of the teachers, remote teachers, in how you are dealing with this pandemic. I think you're doing a fascinating job, and I think it's due to your students who are vigilantly wearing masks and taking this serious, that your district has had what I think is considered a great success, as much success as we can during a pandemic. I just wanted your teachers to know that from the healthcare world, we are standing behind them. We understand that they're on the front lines just as we are. And I just want to reach out and say that as frontline people working, having to go to work, we don't have the option not to, that we all stick together and work on educating the public on the basic science that you're teaching your kids at school, the basic science that we're teaching as nurses to the community members, and to stay strong, and that we encourage your teachers to join in letting the political figures in our county know how important the real science is and the facts and data, and encourage them to speak up at government meetings and whatnot, as we need to continue to teach health and safety, because our community is being overwhelmed with COVID, and it's just going to continue to get worse in both of our arenas. So thank you for all you do, and that's everything.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to wish to address the Board of Trustees? Okay. Recognition and student reports. We'll start with Kalispell Middle School.
Come on up, Hannah.
And does she need a microphone? Oh, Jason's got it.
She looks like she'll be a soft speaker, so yeah. You would like to.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hannah Cantrell. I'm a 7th grader at KMS, and we just finished up our fall sports right before MEA. We did football, cross country, and volleyball, and I was on a volleyball team, but then I got quarantined. And right now we're doing basketball. We have boys basketball going on, and we have 5 7th grade teams and 5 8th grade teams. And after Christmas, we will be doing girls basketball. We also just filmed our music concerts because we're not having live concerts right now, though we hope that we'll be able to have live holiday concerts. I'd say that they went pretty well. And then we sent them to parents so that they could watch them. We're going to be starting the Penny Wars this week. And whatever we come up with, like our total, we will give them to Special Olympics and Life Skills and Dream Adaptive. We also just finished our student parent-teacher conferences, and that was on the week of November 2nd. We will also be doing our holiday food drive soon, and last year we raised over 3,000 food items and 55 frozen turkeys and 12 hams to go to the Lions food drive or to go to KMS families. And last but not least, when I was quarantined, I'd say that the teachers did a really good job online. I mean, there were a few teachers that maybe forgot to post a few things, but I mean, they're teaching both. I really liked being able to be part of a class on Google Meet. That was really fun for me. Like, I like being there and not feeling like I'm just isolated completely. So I think that they're doing a really good job, and I'm really glad that I'm in school right now, because I definitely miss my peers. That's all.
I have a question, Hannah. Do you and your friends have cell phones?
Well, I have a flip phone.
Okay. So I'm just curious, last year, Kalispell Middle School allowed them, and then all of a sudden they tried something different. Do you notice the difference?
So I believe I didn't really pay attention to it because it doesn't really apply to me that much, but they banned phones during like the day while you're at school. And I say that there are a few people who are probably like, well, it's not 8 o'clock yet, so I can have my phone out. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that's true, that they can, but I think overall that it's going a lot better. Okay. That kids aren't as focused on their phones. I mean, there's some kids who kind of revolve around their phones, but you can't stop that.
Right. Okay,
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I still have a flip phone, too.
So, did I hear you say Penny Wars?
Yeah, so.
Can you describe the Penny Wars?
So 7th grade home bases are going to be giving their home base teacher pennies, and whoever wins gets a prize, and then all the pennies go to fundraised events.
Oh, that's not the type of penny war that I grew up with.
You throw pennies at one another?
Oh,
like dodgeball anymore?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Hannah?
Hannah, we did go from 5 8th grade teams to 4.
Oh,
Okay.
today we got another one quarantined, so we don't have 5 8th grade basketball teams anymore. It actually happened to my volleyball team. We got our other setter quarantined. I was a setter. Then our sub setter quarantined. Then me. Then another girl quarantined. We had 3 girls left on our team, and we ended up and then another team got quarantined. So we ended up canceling our KMS tournament. I mean, I would have missed it anyways, but still would have liked to see my 3-man team.
Yeah. Well, thank you for hanging in there. The quarantines are tough.
They are. I'm too social for that. I don't like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
All right, Flathead High School. Gabe Adams, our senior class president.
Awesome.
Hold that. This is a little mic or something?
Yep, it's Mike.
Okay, sweet. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna stand over here, it's off center, but I'm kinda tall, I don't want the projector in my eyes. Don't need to be squinting at you guys the whole time. Anyways, so should I just start talking or? Okay. So first thing that I want to talk about is a program that you guys have probably heard. It's a Ignite program, and it was Ignite, and now it's Braves Mentoring. So how many of you guys are all familiar with Ignite, right? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So Ignite was a program, what grant was it, Ms. Payne, that we got to do it through?
The SWORD grant, which was a mental health grant that the district received.
Yeah, so basically, the Ignite program was based off a couple statistics. Things like freshmen are like way more likely to graduate their senior year of high school if they don't fail any classes in the freshman year of high school, things like that. And so they just found that in general, the better freshmen do and the better start that they get to high school, just getting socially acclimated and everything like that, the better that they do throughout the rest of high school. And you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. I've seen a lot of kids my freshman year when we didn't have the program, just kind of disenfranchised with the whole school thing, kind of too much stress, too much stuff going on, don't really know how to handle the new change from middle school, and they just kind of check out. So what Ignite did and what Braves Mentoring now does, because Ignite was an external program that was kind of nationwide, and we had them come in and kind of implement some systems and basic structures for, you know, to operate to help freshmen. And then now we've taken that over. So I'll just tell you guys what we're doing in Braves Mentoring instead of going over exactly what's going on at Ignite and Braves Mentoring. So Braves Mentoring, we basically have a couple teachers that are like our executive team, and then we have like a handpicked group of about, I'd say like 18 students, and we're all in a classroom every third period, and we're called the executive mentors. And so what we do is we plan what we call lessons, and that's what you guys see on the board right here, where you have a mentor who's a non-freshman who signed up for the program to be a mentor. So you have executive leaders, executive mentors, and then your freshmen. And every mentor has about 5 freshmen, maybe 6, that they work with all year. And so you have about every 2 weeks, you have meetings that they do with their freshmen. And we've talked about things like the most recent one we did was strategies to succeed in school, where we got down, we had a big list of strategies and study tips, and we had an abbreviation, we called them MUSTs, so M-U-S-T-S, and you know, things like the U was use your time in class, the S was study, little things like that, and it's like just helping freshmen have tips to succeed in school. The next one that we're gonna do is, you know, digital citizenship, basically using social media well and being able to navigate all that. So we're teaching freshmen little tips, because I know my freshman year, we had like 3 or 4 kids, where'd Randy go? It's like, oh, you got posted something you shouldn't have on Snapchat or did this or that, and they're out of school. It's little things like that. We want to help the freshmen with social skills. And the class period specifically is really helpful for Braves Mentoring when we do that, because we are now designing our own lessons. We're making our own lessons and tailor fitting them to things that we see and issues that we see that would be really good to address within Flathead High School. So it's actually the students making it. So that third period class is really important. That's one thing I really wanted to mention to you guys. So yeah, and you know, what we've actually seen is actually like a big decrease in the percent of kids who are failing classes their freshman year. So we've seen actual finite results. Last year, I think we had something like 11 suicide interventions. So where a kid is saying, I'm thinking about killing myself, or I'm feeling like I'm having all those feelings, and they talk to their mentor that they've been assigned with all year, and that mentor connects them to a counselor. It's a lot easier for these freshmen. If you're a freshman, you're feeling all these things, or you're even having a problem with your friend or a social issue, it's weird, it's hard. I know I wouldn't have freshman year gone into a counselor that I've only talked to twice and asked them for help on a really personal issue. But if it's your mentor that's been working with you all year, and it's someone who's personal and been sharing personal stories about their own life and struggles they've had, then it not only shows you that you can make it through high school, but it gives you that connection, that connect to help you out with your own problems. Do you guys have any questions on that?
So how are the mentors chosen?
So we basically open it up for application, so we get it out there. So all of our executive mentors, anyone who did the program last year, you go out and you talk to. So like I know I texted probably 20 or 25 kids, say, hey, you should do this program. And it's kids that I see that are, first of all, known faces in the high school, so athlete, speech and debate kid, just popular kid in general, so the kids that can see that and be like, you're doing well, I can trust that, kind of like, I can put stock in what you're saying because I see you doing well. Or just kids that I know are good kids, so I know they're hardworking, I know they've figured out this high school thing, and then they all apply. So they do like a Google Docs form, they type out like paragraphs and a little essay of why they think that they would be a good fit in the program and what the program would mean to them. And then they have this big list of names, and Mr. Wilson and Ms. Heiser go over it. Mr. Wilson makes the final decisions on the kids who, am I correct, Mr. Wilson? Yeah, makes the final decisions on the kids that are in the program. And it's based off, and tell me if I'm missing anything, but it's really based off grades, behavioral, you know, record, and then just like Mr. Wilson knows a lot of these kids, and he's talked to them and he knows like their role in the school. By about your second or third year in high school, you're known within the school, so it knows just your character. And that's a big thing, is character and being, you know, someone who can connect well with the kids. So that's all taken into account. But obviously things like grades and, you know, involvement in the school.
Just curious, so do all of your mentors pretty much make it through the whole school year? Do you have some drop off?
Oh, people who drop off of the program?
The mentors.
Yeah, okay, so that was, I would say for the most part, we have a really good, you know, record of people making it throughout the year. Last year was a little bit of a problem, but this year we've talked as a group, as an executive group in that third period class I was telling you guys about, and talked about, you know, even before the school year started, we met over the summer and talked about how can we make sure that these kids are on board to stay, because some kids, they need to view the program right. So we decided that it was really like a thing where they view the program as a serious commitment, and we're really here and we're helping, you know, change lives and help people, because high school sets you up for the rest of your life, and that's what we want to communicate to them. So when we communicate with them, we made sure we had a contract that we made everyone sign at the start of the year, and it's just a piece of paper, but it's a commitment that they make at the start of the year, understanding that this isn't a dropout program if I don't like it. This is like joining in a sports team. You can't just like quit when you feel bad about it. And so, yeah, we come into the program with that understanding, and we've had a lot less kids. I don't even think we've had any kids. And maybe one that I haven't heard about, but I haven't heard about anyone just quitting so far in the year. Anyways, yeah. So, I mean, I can say that Braves mentoring program, out of everything, I've been involved in a lot of things in high school, like 5 sports, speech and debate, NHS, all these different like things. And out of all of those, I can say definitely that Braves mentoring has been the most, I think the thing that I've done that have really impacted people in the most positive way and changed the most lives and really helped people through high school. I think it's really important. And then I just wanted to mention the extra hours that the teachers were given for like early outs, I think on is it Thursdays or Wednesdays? Wednesdays? Yeah. That was really important because I knew that a lot of my teachers, it's a lot of extra work, and I knew that a lot of our teachers were like really like valued that time, and we had a lot of teachers talk about it in class. Like, thank you. I'm so glad that that's happening. Anyways, thank you guys. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Glacier High School's next. Is there anyone to present on that, or are we just going straight to the building update?
Yeah, just the building
Like
update.
the building update.
Well, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you for inviting us. And Joel Hours, the principal at Glacier, and have Alan Stanfeld here, our new APs, Mark Dennehy, AP, and athletic director, and Lance Labrum, also an AP. And I also invited our student body president here, Morgan Hernandez, and she's going to give a little talk tonight as well. So, yeah, we just want to open up, and she's actually going to talk about and open up about our theme this year and what's going on at Glacier. So go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so our theme this year is making moves. And when I first met Mr. Howard, he was like, well, what do you want the theme to be? And I had no idea. But he actually came up with this one on his own, and it's a good job. It's a good one. So last year, our theme was 2020 vision, and so our goal was kind of to just like get like everything set. And then this year, we're taking that into action, and we're really trying, this kind of relates to COVID a little bit too, you know, trying to make moves around it, and we're doing really well as a school with that. So, yeah, is there anything
No. Morgan, how do you feel the student body and is taking with the COVID year and how things are going as a school.
Yeah, so I think that mask-wise, the school is doing really well. You know, there's always that one kid in your class that never leaves his, or like, keeps his mask on. But other than that, we're doing really well. So, there's some teachers that are a little bit stricter than others. Like some teachers are like, oh, have a snack. That's like a 5-minute break for you to take your mask off. But some teachers are like, you can't even take your mask off to drink water. Come do it under the mask. But yeah, I mean, I think that overall we're doing really well and everybody is following that rules, which is, I mean, just as we should be. We haven't really had any major issues that I'm aware of with the mask thing.
Okay. You guys just feel that it's good to be in school and
Yeah,
appreciate being there? And
I mean, nobody likes the masks, but if that's what it takes for us to be able to play our sports and stay involved in activities and do with our peers, then we'll do it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Morgan's been tremendous too, leading our students and helping set the tone. We appreciate all your work, Morgan. You've been outstanding.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, just going into what Morgan talked about our making moves this year. This is kind of like the basis of last year of 2020 vision. We've had the vision. Now we want to take that into what moves are we going to make to accomplish that vision. And so one thing we added this year was teachers making moves. So we have Teachers of the Month that we nominate 2 teachers every month. And this is kind of to help them we're trying to find some promotional things that really keep encouraging our staff and just to keep persevering through this time. And we probably would have done this anyways, but this is an added thing that we do to honor our teachers and those that are going above and beyond in our school. And so one thing that we added was Greg Atkins. He was he was one of them that he just is a tremendous individual. He was in our October as when we started it. One of our individuals that started that. He does all our videoing. He does our GTV for our announcements. He's just one that always works extra hours and does the extra things behind the scenes. And the guy is very humble, never wants to take any credit, never wants to be acknowledged. And so we just really felt that he was very important and vital to our making moves for our programs, for our school, and the success that he brings to our school. And so one other thing, we give them a coffee card, and then we'd be handing out M&Ms, making moves, M&Ms. And so, so we've been handing out a lot of M&Ms. So when you guys see like $5,000 of M&M candy at the tail end of the end of the year, that's what it's for. We're just not fulfilling our sweet tooth. So, but yeah,
that's a block grant item.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been burning up the COVID money with the M&Ms. So I hear that it kills COVID, so we've been filling it. But no, but seriously, he's one individual that has done a lot for our school, and that's just something we can kind of give back to him to say thank you. And then.
Yeah, Jenna Brown was nominated as a teacher making moves because she teaches English out of the Ag Center for us, and then travels to teach in-person classes. But with the reshuffling of some English teachers that were remote teachers, she had the added duty of taking on 2 AP classes. She'd been AP trained a few years back, but was not anticipating teaching an AP class with only 2 weeks notice. And she jumped in and did that, and it's been great. Her co-teacher that teaches the same section, Chris Savchek, has been doing a great job of allowing them to pace those 2 classes out evenly, and she's been really successful in taking on that new challenge. So we really appreciate that.
Levi Berkey was our social studies. He was one of our teachers this month. And Levi Berkey is an absolute rock star. And he's a product of Kalispell School District. He graduated from Flathead High School. He's one of our younger teachers and has been teaching AP classes since he's been there. And just actually, it's just, I mean, he's amazing. If you ever get over to Glacier High School, pop into his classroom and watch him work with kids. He's great with those higher-end kids, and he engages the lower-end kid. He's just an all-around rock star. He really is setting himself to be a master teacher, one of the best teachers in our district. He's just a great job. So we recognize him for all the hard work he does and the engagement he's able to get kids. Well, he's just able to get kids engaged and does an amazing job. So Levi Burke is a great asset to Glacier High School.
Another teacher that we'd recognized was Kristen, kind of interesting. Alan says to me one day, we always get a lot of email. Alan says to me, he's like, you get a lot of emails from teachers after they send messages home to parents, good or bad? And I'm like, no. He says, well, I'm getting a hell of a lot. And I said, it's okay. All right. In fact, he said, one of them was Kristen Morin is copying him on a lot of these emails, line copying him. And I was driving with my wife. We were driving, and she said, gosh, Kristen Morin sent home the greatest message to this parent about her son, a gal that she works with. And she said, it meant the world to her. And her son is thriving at Glacier High, and it could not have been happier. And I came back to Ellen and I said, you know what, those emails, those messages go so far. And if you've ever been in Kristen's class, it's a wow moment. She's just tremendous, sets quite a standard and has done tremendous things. And we gave her a certificate for making moves, and she was happy to get the M&Ms and the coffee.
I have a class next to her. I've never had her, but I have a class next to her, and I can hardly hear Mr. Wright teach. She's probably just loud. She's an awesome teacher.
So I'm going to try to go fast, okay? I could give a whole presentation on activities, and we will later, but a little bit about just some improvements. Each and every year, we try to do some improvements around Glacier High School. Potable water, we finally have drinking water out at our fields. But we really couldn't use our water fountains this year. So when we did get the water fountain deal done, we updated our boys' team room last spring and into the summer with COVID and so forth. And it mirrors pretty much what Billy Sullivan and Andy Ford did in the girls' team room a few years ago. We were very fortunate to have some donors and sponsorships help construct our finish line shed, football shed at the finish line there. Wonderful storage addition. Really has saved and helped us tremendously. Another thing you see here in the bottom, shot put bench, memory of Dirk T-Bomb. That's his wife. And right there, Dirk coach, both the shot put and the discus from that area. And Jerry Boshi did a lot of the legwork. And Sean Baker. And it's kind of it's very symbolic of Dirk. And anything Dirk did was all out. And if you look at that thing, the thing's got to weigh 1,000 pounds and never gonna be there forever. So that's a little addition we did this summer too. Next slide. A little bit about our priorities. Always we want our kids to have a positive experience. It's important to us. Whatever we do, that grounds us in all that we do. Another piece we strive to do is win the all-academic trophy and the AA Cup. Those are academics, that's important to us, and winning this AA Cup. Another piece, we talked about our coaches and our kids. We wanted to be the best at navigating COVID. The challenges with our parents and our fans and our kids. We knew we were going to deal with it, the ups and the downs. We needed to be very good at it. The other piece, we have a $10,000 raffle. It's been a centerpiece of our fundraising with our Booster Club, and it's virtual this year. And it's a combination of, we've already drawn 315 tickets. We filmed it the other day. We have the winners. We are going to release a video this Saturday at 6 o'clock. We have a little message from all of our coaches about activities. They'll say something about the importance of activities, and they'll say, and the winner is, and it might be number 43. And we'll go through, there are 33 total winners once it's all said and done. And there's been a silent auction going on online. We moved to a silent auction or a mobile platform, I guess, online. And it wasn't because of COVID. We wanted to do a better job, but it really helps us with COVID. So we'll draw, we'll do a little bit of, we'll set sell that final ticket. We'll, auction it off for the $10,000 ticket. We'll auction a final 10, being that 10th seat. See who wins, we'll draw the tickets, and then, we'll go from there. We'll also have what we call a paw raise, and that's an opportunity just to contribute to the Booster Club. 25, 50, 100, 250, 500. And we anticipate that we will make about 35,000 on this online format. Last year, we hit a record, raising over 40,000. So we're probably going to be down just a little bit, but we're very excited about that. So, they're pushing me on, sorry. Last year, we were fourth place in the AA Cup. We actually thought we had a pretty average year, and we did. We didn't have really any highs, we didn't have any lows, we were pretty solid, we were fourth. Points were awarded. Last year was first, you get 15 points. This year is 16th, and you get 1. This emphasizes the importance of all programs. We placed second in the Academic Excellence Award. Take a look at the GPA for the students who qualified, 3.552. It is the highest GPA that we've ever set forth for the award. We've won the award on 3 different occasions. We've been in the top 3, 13 years running. We emphasize it, our kids work at it, and we're proud of that achievement. Summary, we've had good, strong participation numbers again. Kids wanted to be there, they wanted to do things. We had some challenges with COVID, from quarantines to, whatever it is. At Glacier, we got 8 or 9 of our head coaches, directors who had COVID. I mean, we've been hit hard. There's a good thing to that too. We're not going to get it again for a while. It's not a bad thing. We're going to make it through. We also had some kids down in Billings when we traveled down to the football playoffs that had to get quarantined, got notified on the way down. Right before they got to Billings, they had to go with their parents. So it's been tough emotionally on some of our people, but they've handled it well. Our coaches have handled it well, and we're just working through it. We had some concerts a little bit, orchestra very small because they're small concerts. Band did a halftime performance, theater, they did an outdoor production. We're working through choir. Choir is probably one of the most challenging pieces. We'll figure something out for them. This is the summary of what's gone on. I would say at the end of the fall, we're in the top 5 at least, I would think, in the AA Cup, if not the top 3. So we've had a very nice fall, and we're very proud of our next slide, and that's our girls soccer champions. And I was talking to Jack today. I said, Jack, geez, you didn't follow us this year. You didn't see our girls soccer. We've been waiting forever to have a girls state championship in soccer. We got it done, and very proud of those girls. A lot of grit, a lot of determination, and scroll up a little bit, and you can see their contest scores, and very proud. And Coach Brendan Bird, just an amazing person, and good things have happened for us. I think on to the next one. That's Spirit Veterans Day. I think that's Phil.
Yep. And so tomorrow, like many schools, we'll be celebrating Veterans Day, and we'll be putting out a video tomorrow that came together very well. So we're excited to put that out. I know Micah and Kelly, they had a great Veterans Day assembly, but obviously with the COVID restrictions, we're not able to do something like that. So Greg Atkins was one of those individuals that really helped us bring this together, and Bo Wright, who's the social studies teacher, he helped really coordinate a lot of it as well. And so it really turned out well. We're excited to put that out tomorrow, and it'll be on our website, and it'll be pushed out. So if you guys have a chance to find it and click on it, I invite you to do that. We also applied for it this year. It's the first year that the Montana Office of Public Instruction has sent out the designation of a Purple Star school. And so we put in for the application of that. We're not a district that has high military presence, but we do have the National Guard and individuals that often retire here. And so what the Purple Star designation means that we just are taking care of our military individuals. And so we had to put in an application. The assembly is something that we do, and we had to go forward. We have to assign an individual within the building, that when we get those military students within our student, we notify the teachers, and we take care of whatever means necessary to make that student feel welcome and make sure that they are taken care of with their curriculum and help them to be accepted within the school. These military students, as you guys know, they move like every 2 or 3 years. And during our training process, the one lady said that, I had one student that moved up to 12 times, throughout his schooling career. And so you can see how, you're changing curricular and activities and all these different changes for these kids, how hard it is to adapt. And so it's just an extra step that we are being designated as one of those schools that takes that extra step in helping these individuals and how important the military and how much they serve our country. And we want to serve them back and taking care of their families as they come into our school district and in our community. And so we're really proud and to have that distinction and to be able to call ourselves that and to be able to help those. It helps us with replacing class loads. So if they come in with, this is just an example, they come in with like Texas history, but they need Montana history to graduate. This allows us to signify and accept that history class from Texas, because we're trying to get them to graduate and to be able to be successful. So there's some things and activities when they come in. It doesn't matter when they start. They all get to try out, whether it's cheerleading or anything else, or they're allowed to try out for the team and be a part of activities in any shape or form as well. We just have to give them that opportunity to try out. So the compact enables us to be able to help them out a little bit more and gives them some privileges that maybe other students wouldn't be able to receive. And so we're just very proud to have that distinction and be able to move forward, as even if it's only 1 or 2 students, we want to be able to be there for them, and we don't know what difference that'll make for them in their lives. So
Joel also will have the Veterans Day link that Greg has put together out there. So if you're interested in taking a look at that, it'll be worth your time. Lots of great stuff.
Yep.
So I got the fun slide. Really, I'm not going to say a lot about that. It's really that we put ebbs and flows up there. It's coming and going and coming and going. And right now we're kind of at a high with teachers out in quarantine and stuff, but we have some coming back tomorrow. And it's just kind of, our teachers have been super resilient as well as our kids in managing it and just kind of, it is what it is. We're working with it, and it's just a thank you to you guys and our administration up top, just that we're in school. I mean, that's at the end of the day, when you talk to teachers, when you talk to staff, hey, at least we're in school. That's what you hear. So that's a real positive. So we're dealing with it, and as all the schools are, and just getting through it and doing our best. And our teachers have been amazing, whether it's filling in for other teachers or going off, doing the remote. You see people carrying around the computer with a student on the computer, as they go to their writing lab or whatever. It's been amazing with students and teachers what they've really done for us. And so, like I said, thank you to you guys and having us open, and we're making it, and we're doing well. So.
Alan, did you want to talk to this a little bit?
Yeah, so this is just our data that we've been tracking throughout the year. Not going to say a lot about it, but it just tells us where we're at with active positive cases in our student body and our staff, and then kind of tallies down at the bottom the average days missed when they're out. So this is just something that we'll track, and we'd like to be able to, at some point, then evaluate how quarantine impacted, students and their performance as a result of that. But that's still something that's under evaluation.
No, and Ellen's been doing a really good, an excellent job of working with our health department. We all deal with it in some shape or form, but he's the one that's kind of taken on that lead and been working with the numbers, as in the contact tracings and stuff like that. And he really takes a pride in, checking to make sure if that student was here. He doesn't just send it in to make sure that they're quarantined. He wants to make sure that they were actually in school. He checks the dates and checks all of that stuff to make sure that he can get the most for the kids, and that they just don't go quarantine just because they maybe they weren't in school. So he's just done an excellent job with helping us to stay as best as we can and helping the individuals at school. And then our identity for Glacier, our founding pillars were grit and gratitude. And then this year I brought in Grace I really felt like this year was a season of what we really needed grace in our classrooms, grace for individuals in our health and wellness. You know, that just because for wearing our masks, we got to make sure that we're there for people that have health problems, and we don't want to, you know, we might be healthy enough in order to wear a mask and get through a COVID infection. We have it, but we don't know if the person next to us will have that opportunity or how it might affect somebody else in their family as well. And so grace just kind of covers the whole range of what we've really been pushing this year in not just the health and wellness of our building, but also in the classroom and helping each other and supporting each other when teachers are out, when students are, you know, too sick to work at home because they're quarantined or sick. You know, our teachers are helping them and giving them that grace to, you know, here's what you need to get caught up, and just giving them that little extra effort to make sure that they're taken care of, and just remembering this kind of season that we're going through. And just because my life maybe not be interrupted and my life is going well, doesn't mean that somebody else is not having a hard time. And we don't want to make those judgments and those infractions upon them just by, you know, thinking because things are well in my world, it doesn't mean that they don't need a little grace to get through theirs. And so just keeping an open mind about that. So that's something that we've really pushed this year as a school and as a model. And we also needed grit, obviously, to get through some hard ebb and flows, as Lance just talked about. And also the gratitude that to you guys that we are still in school. And then, you know, just adding that grace component that we're just remembering that, you know, we're all in this together. And what I might not be having some compassion for others that they might have to deal with for families. So. And we just feel like this year, just is preparing for the world. You know, this is real world, you know, I mean, life is hard. And we really feel like it's been great to be in school to communicate with our students that this is life, you know, things are going to have challenges in your life, and you know, you're going to get quarantined, you're going to have to work through it, and that's life. You know, you're going to have things that happen in your family, whether it's cancer or sickness or whatever it is, finances, and you have to work through it, and you have to learn from it, and you have to grow from it and become a better person of it. So it's really taught our students, I feel like, real life scenarios that they're going to have to deal with when they leave Glacier High School. And then this is our go ahead.
This is Halloween. We're not making light of COVID, but you have to have the permission to have some fun in these days. And so this is our art teacher, Cody Coon. Should be able to hit play on it, the video, if we're in present. Maybe we're not in present right now.
No, I don't think we are.
So,
You can try it.
it's really funny, but I don't want to waste time, so we'll
there
we go.
We have sound on.
I think it's trying to play through.
Translate it there. No. That's all right.
He's essentially saying, we're ready, and he's ready. Cody's there, he's gonna, Ghostbuster. He's gonna get them all.
Took him down.
Yep.
Who is that peeking around the corner? That's Miss McD. She was trying to dress up as somebody from Bruce, but it didn't work.
And then the last slide, we're not going to go through, but those are the data, just kind of more of the highlights of the programs that we have, our AP, graduation, attendance rate. Put them in there for your review, but we're not going to talk through all those slides tonight.
Do you guys have any questions for us, for Morgan here?
I have two questions for Mark.
Yep.
First of all, you talk about the AA Cup. Who gives that out? What's that about?
It's within the AA conference.
Right.
And, we picked that up about 5 or 6 years ago. The Great Falls team used to do it. They had big sports, small sports. So we came up with the concept on how to do it. So the AA, we created a trophy at Glacier, we made it. Actually, we bought it and then we made the plates for it, for the base. So it's a traveling trophy that goes around. And Bozeman's trophy case. We even haven't built a new school to try. So that's AA Cup, yeah.
Okay, and my second question for you, I noticed in the paper There was the article about you testing positive for.
I didn't test positive, I didn't test, but I was sick and
Yeah, and that's.
My wife and my son, they did.
Yeah. How is the recovery coming? I mean,
Oh, I'm good now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it took a little while. It
Yeah.
was not fun, to say the least, and, blessed to be over it. Every day you think, oh, I'm better, and
Yeah.
then it hits you again. So, and we're having some of our folks right now who have it, and they're kind of on that roller coaster that they're going through. So we're hoping, that they get better, and like we said, we've got quite a few of our folks who have it right now. So,
Well, glad you're doing better.
thanks.
Jack?
I have two questions, one for Joel and one for Morgan. For Joel, the military family integration, I assume you were doing that over in Great Falls, and how long have you been doing it over there?
Well, there used to be the MIC3 compact, and this is the first year that they kind of transitioned to, I forget how many states are a part of it, but there's like 14 states that do the Purple Star. Actually, it's the compact is nationwide, it's all 50 states, but the Purple Star designation is only like 14 states that do that, and Montana just adopted it this year, and the MSHA is a part of that and as well. And yes, it was a part of the Great Falls, obviously with the Maelstrom and everything, and then I saw the feed come through about the Purple Star, and it just kind of, I thought with the support we have in this community for our veterans and for our military and for our police, and I just thought it was a great addition to our school and our community too, even if, she said, we are like 42nd in Montana on military presence, but she said, even if you guys touch 2 or 3 students and help them, that it can make a difference in their life, and that's what it's really about, is even if it is 2 or 3. And the compact carries over a year after they retire. And the lady that called us, she was from Kentucky and had a great accent and everything. She was like, well, a lot of people aren't really retiring to Kentucky, but they probably retire to Kalispell, and so, and that's true. We do have a lot of people that move up here and retire in the valley. And so, so I just really felt that, it carries over for that extra year. So we might even get retirees that move in that we can still help their high school age or individuals graduating and get them to.
So in Great Falls over the years, even without those programs, what kind of integration issues did you see with the military families coming and going?
It's kind of the same what they talked about. They've had a lot of time. There was really nothing to get them to be engaged. They just kind of floated around, and you knew who they were, but they're there and they're gone. And they made a friend or two maybe, but that was the big issue, was they didn't really take ownership. Or the ownership wasn't there to just really draw them in and say, hey, we're here for you, what can we do for you, and make them feel accepted for the short time that they're there. And so that's, Great Falls, was a part of that compact, the MIC3 compact, and they tried to adapt some of those things. And so I just really felt that was important, and that this, with the community-based presence here, that I thought there was another layer we could add to support our community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Morgan, do you know very many people that are in the REC program, and what are their reactions to it? How are they doing? Are they liking it?
Rec program?
The remote education center.
Sorry. So I don't really know a whole lot of people that are doing it, but I have heard from other people that do know people that are doing it, that they like it. I mean, it's a lot of what I've heard is that some people's parents are like making them do it. And so they don't really enjoy it, but the teachers are adapting really well, especially for teachers that are happy to teach both a in-person class and a remote class.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Will?
I also have a question about the MIC3 program.
Yeah.
Is that limited to military affiliated students that are just in the Glacier High area, or is it district-wide can come and participate?
Well, it would just be signified for Glacier High School, but if Flathead or anybody else can get on there and become a designated school for Purple Star for doing that. They just have to fill out an application and submit the application and stuff. And so, but yeah, right now it's just signified to Glacier High School.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight and presenting.
Thank you.
lastly, financial reports.
So you see this report every month, where we are budget-wise, and we're, 75% of the year remaining on the expenditure side and more than 75% of the funds available. So that's a good place to be. The revenues, we should be at 25% of the revenues, but most of those are less than that because our first big source of revenue comes in November when we collect taxes. So really nothing there to be concerned about. And if you take a look at that and have questions, you can certainly call me or email me. So I added the next report, which is a cash report, and we used to do this report, and I hadn't for a while, but then there were some questions coming up that seemed like it was a good idea to go back to. And this just reports the cash balance in each fund, and so of course, the one thing that you don't want to have are some of those red numbers that you see up there. Some of those are just red because I sometimes turn them red while I'm verifying things, and I forget to turn them back to black. But you see in the Fund 174, the Internal Service Fund, we operate in the red, you know, probably pretty much all the time, a couple of times a year. That's our print shop. And the idea of the print shop is not to make money, it's just to break even. So we operate in the red, and a couple times of the year we will charge back the cost of copying in the buildings and get that to zero. And then it's always at zero at the end of the year. So not to be overly concerned there, but good for you to scroll up just a little bit, Kelly, good for you to see that, you know, we're not in the negative in any serious fashion. The other thing, so this is the high school side, and on the far right, you see the reserve amounts. So on the high school general fund, we have $2.1 million that we set in reserve. And then you can see in the general fund that our balance, cash balance is 1.7 million. So that just points out that we operate in the reserves. We need those reserves to be full to cover our expenses until November and May, when the bulk of our revenues come in the form of taxes. So, but just a quick look at, okay, so, you know, how are we doing as far as our cash? Is it flowing appropriately? So I think it is, so we can go on to.
Question, so what you're illustrating that 2.1 million in reserves is going to be spent in the month of October. In essence, we're going to have zero left over there because then it's all going to be built back up again in November.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Yep, really important in the general fund. We're always transportation, retirement, we only get a couple of payments a year. They come from the county and the state. And so we're always dependent on those reserves just to have enough money in those funds to operate. And, you know, we'll have conversations as we start to prepare our budget about the possibility of spending those reserves, and should we. And we'll typically would not advocate for spending into the reserve because of just this scenario is that we actually need those funds there while we await our tax collection. But just a good quick check to, you know, that cash report will be, if we're in trouble of some sort, you're going to see a lot of negatives there, and you can say, hey, what's going on with that? So an easy, quick check for trustees to make sure that we're not in financial trouble. And next is the food service financials, and they actually look pretty healthy. You know, we try to operate that program on the revenues that come in. So if you scroll, you know, the top half of that report's the income, the bottom half's the expenditures, and at the very bottom, so, you know, we're $30,000 to the good. And then there's another report that compares year over year. So, you know, are we kind of operating about the same as we did the year before? Are there any anomalies we need to look at? The whole, you know, changing in March to no paid lunches, and then starting out the year with no paid lunches, and that in itself has created, you know, uncertainty, but so far we're holding our own as far as operating in the positive. So there's no health insurance report because we gave you the September health insurance report last time because we're always anxious to see what those numbers look like, and sometimes we push the envelope and try to get those out.
So Gwen, did you do the same for November? How was November?
Actually, we have not. Our county treasurer's report is extremely late for some reason. I don't know if they've had changeover again. They have that office, the staff changes quite a bit.
No, they usually don't come out with it till between the 10th and the 15th, so it's, the meeting's just a little bit early.
That's true. Yeah, and Delia also, though, will estimate, and we just haven't had the opportunity. We had auditors in the house last week, so everybody was really
What's going on?
focused on that. So, yeah. But we're anxious to see what it looks like, Lance. We need to at least break even this year on that health insurance. So a couple of things that we've been working on, we're just going to wrap them up tonight. One is the budget amendment resolution, and that has to do with the additional 114 students that we had on the high school side. We did a anticipated enrollment increase for 60 students, and now we're going to go back and pick up the difference to the tune of $142,000 in state funding. So the process was that we had to sign a petition, which we did at a couple of board meetings ago. We had to send that to the Office of Public Instruction for their approval, and in this packet is their acknowledgement letter. They don't technically approve budget amendments, but they have to acknowledge that you've requested it. We notify the county superintendent and the county commissioners. We advertise in the local newspaper that tonight we're going to take action on the budget amendment. It has to be posted in every building, so quite a bit to,
There's like 12 steps to.
yeah, to do a budget amendment. But here we are, we're at the final steps tonight. So there's a resolution here that basically, you know, covers all of the things we've talked about, why we're doing it, the amount of money that we're going to access, how we're going to use the money, and it's just always easiest to use it in salaries and benefits. Because we do have to report it separately to the state of Montana at the end of the year, so we like to keep it simple. We don't want to spread that $142,000 off around to create a lot of extra accounting for that. So if we pass the resolution this evening, I will pass this document around for all of you to sign, and then that will go to the county commissioners as well. Kind of the reasoning behind the county being notified is sometimes there's a tax levy implication, like there was when we did the one last year, where we estimated ahead of time. It actually impacts the taxes. This one will not impact the taxes because the taxes have already been set and billed, and it's just to collect the state share, but it still requires the communications with the county. So if we can get
I move approval of the high school budget amendment resolution 2021-1.
Thank you.
Second.
Diane seconds it. Further discussion or questions for Gwen?
Okay.
Scott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Amy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Fellow trustees, how do we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So when that comes around, if you just sign it and I'll collect it at the other end.
Yes. And then let's canvass some high school levy election results.
Actually, that's the document I just sent around, so hold it just a minute.
Don't sign it yet.
The resolution is just Lance and I, and here it is. So I'll connect with Lance on that one. Okay, so canvass of the election. So we got the final numbers at 4:38 this afternoon. So we weren't able to put that into the packet. So in front of you is a document that summarizes the final numbers. It's a little bit different than what you saw in the packet. because there are these things called provisional ballots, and you have 48 hours after the close of the election to proof up on provisional ballots, like prove your residency or prove your identity. So they count, more ballots 48 hours later. So that's why these numbers look a little different than the ones that are in the packet and the ones that were on the website the first couple of days after the election. So we had 16,801 ballots in favor and 18,754 against. And so the levy measure did not pass. Kelly, if you open up that, or Beth, one of you were going to open it. So, and scroll clear to the bottom of it. This is the formal report from the county. And so basically what we're looking at are the same numbers that are on the very bottom of the screen. And typically they provide a list of all the people who voted. The county election office did not provide that, but she provided us with an email today that said 46,661 people were registered to vote within the groups that voted on this measure, and that 36,316 of those people voted, which is a 78% turnout, which is phenomenal. And what we're doing is compare, we're looking at her numbers there and saying, okay, is that reasonable? If there were 46,000 people who could have voted, 36,000 did vote, and those yeses and nos and the undervotes add up to that 36,316. So it's just a process of, you're looking at the numbers they provided. Do you agree that they look reasonable without having the list of every single person who voted? And then you pass a resolution that accepts the results of the election. So that's the resolution that or the motion that we need this evening.
Any questions?
Question.
Sue?
You can go first. Gwen, I know on Friday you talked about breaking those votes down by, schools.
And we asked the county to do that, and she will do it. She was not able to get those to us today, and it was actually just barely got enough that we could canvass tonight. So, appreciate that. And I know that they're swamped. There's a lot to an election like the one that we just went through. So totally understand that. She did provide us with data on the precincts, but the precincts are not synonymous with, the borders are not identical to school districts. So she's got to do a little bit more work on it, but she did say she would provide those to us. And I think that's going to be good information for us. We need to know where we need to educate people, the people that we need to connect with to see what their concerns are, in regard to passing a high school levy, because we're sure not, getting the connection for some reason. But yeah, so she said sometime in the next few days, and definitely, Michael will be studying those for sure and figuring out, how we address the results.
Diane, did you have a question?
It was the same thing, one breakdown.
Yeah, I really thought we'd have it tonight, and I was hoping we would. But we will definitely look at it, and we'll definitely share it with you, because I think it's good data for us to have.
Is there a trustee who would wish to make a motion to accept the results?
So made.
Jack makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Sue seconds it. Further discussion?
Do we know how far below the population, we know that 7,800 registered voters voted. How many people voted in the election but not on the school board issue? I was concerned because it was on page that how many people did not.
46,000 were registered to vote, and 36, the undervotes were this 761, and so
people voted but didn't vote.
right, and did not mark the ballot at all for the for the high school levy. So, you know, yeah, no, that's fine.
Thank you. All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Amy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Can I also just add a little bit of perspective? In 2019, we ran a levy for 1.2 million, and there were roughly 13,000 people that voted, so 28% of potentially the voters that could have turned out did. And in that measure, it failed 45.45%. Were for, and 54.55% voted against it. So on a positive note, we with a larger turnout, we actually had an uptick in the number of positive votes for the levy, which is, little consolation that when it doesn't pass, but I think it suggests that there's a lot of support for our schools. When you look at the 16,801 that voted yes, that's I think that's something that can be looked at as a positive, that our schools are supported. It was a challenging time to put it on the ballot. We took a gamble. We haven't really done that in the past where we put it on with the general election, and but we'll continue to move forward.
Policy updates, third and final reading.
Yeah, so this is the third and final reading for the sexual harassment, sexual intimidation, and sexual misconduct policy, along with the bullying, harassment, intimidation, hazing. I will say that from a district perspective, we've been engaged in a lot of Title IX training through Montana School Boards Association. We did a 2-hour training last week. We have another 2-hour training Thursday. And then we also have another one the following week. So we'll have about 6 hours of training. And we're requiring it for all of our administrators, and Tracy is working on a strategic plan to also get our staff trained and notified about this. So we're moving forward.
Jack, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the policy changes as presented.
And Kim Wilson, second. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's see, new business, out-of-state country travel.
Yeah, so this was a discussion item for the board tonight. We, last year, prior to COVID and the pandemic and limitations on travel and things, some trips had been approved prior to that. And then some of those trips got canceled. And I've asked Stephanie Hill to join us. She's led a number of out-of-state trips, out-of-country trips, to talk. I know enough to be dangerous, but she knows far more than I do. Just in terms of the nuances that are associated with this. And I thought it was important for the board to have this discussion. There have been some requests for out-of-state travel from the middle school and also out-of-country travel for the high school. And ultimately, the board is the one that makes that decision as to whether or not those are going to be approved. We're also operating within our pandemic operational guidelines. Should we be approving travel in phase 2 restrictions, or should we be waiting until phase 3? And some of the challenges that come with this is a lot of those trips require fundraising in advance. And that fundraising, those dollars don't go back to the kid if the trip gets canceled. Or if parents are putting out money, depending on who the travel company is and what their insurance is and those kind of things, they may not get all of their money back. And so I'm going to let Stephanie take it from there because there's a whole lot more to it, but do a quick presentation on just some things to consider and have a discussion about.
Hi guys, I'm Stephanie Hill. I teach over at Glacier High School. Micah told me to keep it short, Callie told me to keep it long, so I'm gonna in between. Okay, it's like 15 minutes, I timed myself a couple times. I am by no means an expert. I have traveled, this will be my 6th trip to, with students, and so I've done it as a chaperone, as a leader. I've taken students where it's exchange, but I'm by no means an expert. So in the end, you guys are going to make the decision about what is best for our kids and for our district. I was one of those trips that was approved last year in January. We had 27 students and 3 chaperones. We have a 4th spot sign up, so I have 31 for Spain and Portugal trip this June. Currently, we are all just keeping our fingers crossed. And we had signups finish the end of February, and then of course COVID hit in March. I actually have not lost a single student. I added a student in the middle of the pandemic who trusts that we will keep it safe and hopefully keep the trip going. So these are things that I've learned in trying to plan a trip that I've done so many times, but now trying to do it in a pandemic. So these are the things, Callie style, that I'm going to be talking about in my very not short but not long presentation. What does it take for a successful trip? I don't know if many of you have decided or wanted to, or maybe in the past taken 20 to 30 students to different countries, but it's not as simple as I think I'll do that this weekend. Tour company selection, insurance and liability, safety and transparency, and the one that is most important is the timeline. So go ahead, Callie, get me to the next one. So trips in our district vary. The Glacier Way is different than the Flathead Way, which is different than the KMS Way. I've only traveled with Glacier, so I can give you my perspective. I can tell you about my tour company that we use, but what does it take for a successful trip abroad and also sometimes in our country as well? It can take 1 to 2 years of planning to be able to go on one of these trips. The Glacier Way is it takes 2 full years. So again, we signed up students in January to be able to go in June, so just a little bit less. Why we do that is so that way the price, especially like for a trip that goes abroad, it is something that is reasonable for our families that they can afford monthly. So for me, for my trip, it was about $200 to $300 per month. That is something that is feasible for our families and for my high school kids who can pick up an after-school job and can pay this. This is why we don't decide 6 months before going abroad, hey, we're going, I now need $4 grand from you. It also means that we have to ask our families and our kids to come to 6 to 8 required meetings. If they don't come to those meetings, they're subject to removal from the trip. These meetings are everything from how to use a credit card to cultural things, language things that we want to make sure we take these kids abroad. They represent not only me and my program, but also the school, our district, our state, and our country. And so we want to make sure they're completely prepared. We have absolutely clear expectations for our kiddos. At Glacier, they have to fill out applications. They have to have teacher recommendations. In the end, I have the final say. I can say yay or nay, and everybody signs paperwork that says, I will agree with what Madame says. We also have the clear consequences. If a kiddo doesn't keep up the GPA expectations, if they don't keep up the behavior expectations, they can be removed from a trip and then potentially lose all of that money. Nothing scares a family more than when I put up a map of all the places we're going and I say, if your kid is sassy in this country, this is how much the ticket will cost to fly home. If your kid is sassy in this country. So, I mean, we just have these kind of expectations for our kiddos. Fundraising, you're talking about 2 years of the community supporting our kids. And we are so thankful that our district and the school board and our admin are so supportive of global travel. You heard my kids a couple weeks ago talk about the sheer joy of even thinking of going abroad. But it's a lot for families and for our community to be giving money to these trips. Communication, people ask, how much time do you do with a trip? Generally, for 2 years, I give about 5 hours a week. And so that is how it's communicating, it's making sure that you're clear with families and the program, so on and so forth. And this is all before you go on the trip. We at Glacier like to say we like to make it look really, really easy. And so 24 hours a day, for our trip is 12 days, and we literally adopt 20-plus kids. I always say to my families, ask anybody in your life, hey, do you want to adopt 27 kids where you're legally their guardian? Take them to 5, although Callie, I think our last trip was 7 countries. Get them there, get them through, get them home, and oh, by the way, you have to make medical decisions for them. So it's a very involved, in-depth process that we do for our trips, whether it's abroad or here inside the country. So COVID hit, things have changed. We keep a lot of these things in mind, but now everything is kind of amplified. So tour company selection, when planning a trip, you thought of this, but now you have to think, will the tour company still exist when you plan the trip? And will they be able to offer quality educational travel? I never thought in a million years these things would be happening, but we are seeing tour companies go bankrupt. We are seeing tour companies not be able to offer the kind of tours that they normally do. Thankfully, we travel with EF. They have been absolutely amazing. They have been very clear with what they have, money-wise, going forward, all these kinds of things. But their main rival, a huge company, actually went bankrupt in June. And so they kind of left families out in the cold. And so this has happened actually in Montana. Some local companies essentially were like, nope, we're done, bye. And all these families and community that had put money into this had no recourse. You also have to think, do they have clear dates? Are they aware of, okay, well, if you have to decide on the trip on this day, everybody will get money back in this way. They don't have that. That sows a lot of confusion for our families and for our communities. Do they have protocols? We don't know the protocols yet, but I can tell you that EF has already told me what their protocols are with buses and hotels and sanitization and masks. And do they have supportive policies for us, for our district, for our families, or are they just going to leave us high and dry? And I can tell you that last spring, companies did the best they could with a situation they were not prepared for, but they're prepared now. So leaders have to be aware of what the policies are in order for us to be able to continue with the travel. And of course, what support do they have for the teachers and the travelers prior to travel? But what is really important is what supports do they have while they're abroad. Callie, can you go to the next slide for me? I pulled this from a video that I sent. I know it's hard to read, so I'll explain it to you, but I could not find the original document, so I pulled it from a video. My families, by the way, know everything I'm talking about here. This is all presented to my families in June. EF has always had a care promise. We will take care of you if you're sick on tour. But what you have to think about for travel companies now is what if a kid is sick with COVID on tour? And so they added in this thing. They will book flights home for no cost for the kiddos who are sick, where before you might have had a cost. They will fly a parent or guardian to the tour location, things you don't think of, that if on tour, what are you going to say to a family? What are you going to say to a mom? Oh, sorry, I had to take the kids home. I've left your child in France. And so, don't do that. But it's something that we have to think of. Go ahead, Callie, to the next one. Oh, there we go. Insurance and liability. From a district standpoint, I know like Gwen can back me up on all these kinds of things. Leaders have to be aware of what their insurance covers and doesn't cover related to pandemics. Everything that happened last year was not covered because it's considered an act of God. Our companies, what we have seen is that they stepped up, but now they have policies in place. So if leaders are planning trips, they have to know backwards and forwards, is it covered? Is it not covered? Because if you're explaining it to a family and you don't know and they sign up and they find out mid-tour that this isn't covered, you can say, oh, well, they won't worry about us. They won't worry about the district. They will come back. They will go on social media. They will be talking about their experience with us. You also have to make sure there's incredible liability protection for not only me, the leader, whoever is leading, and also us. I can tell you almost to the millions of dollars what I have as protection in case something happens while we're abroad. And if someone was to sue me, if someone was to sue us, you have to make sure that that kind of protection exists. And you have to know what insurance is offered for our kids. EF, for example, we require our kids to take insurance. That way we are covered. But now tour companies are starting to offer optional insurance. So we offered to our kids, we said, hey, there is an optional insurance for an extra $200 that you could decide 24 hours before the trip. to not go. And if every kid had done it, it would be great. I could wait until 24 hours before and cancel the trip, and everybody would get their money back minus this one part. But not every kid did. So leaders have to know which kids have which insurance and what are we going to do, and all these things come down to really the timelines, which I'm going to talk at the very end. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I teach, so if you want to interrupt me, go ahead, because I'm interrupted all day long, and now I teach synchronously and in person, so I'm really used to it. So go ahead and interrupt me. The safety and the transparency is huge. Even on a non-COVID year, I tell my trips, I will do anything for your kids. I'll go in front of a bus for your kids. But you have got to trust me and my knowledge of trips to make the decision. It is not the families in the end that make that decision. You're going to get families, if you start doing trips now, who say, oh, COVID's not a big deal, don't worry about it, so on and so forth. But in the end, we have to make the decisions. The district has to make the decisions. And we are clear at Glacier that we reserve the right to decide not to travel or even change our trip entirely. My students were told in May and then again in June, hey, I might call you and say, we're going to Norway, Spain and Portugal, Gibraltar, the monkeys. No, we're not doing that. We're going to Norway. And if you want to get out now is the time to get out. But I still had all my kids stay because they want to go with Glacier. If leaders aren't clear on that it might change, or that, hey, I might come in and say, it is not safe for us. That's fine that the State Department has said we can go. That's fine that EF said we can go, but I don't feel comfortable taking you. Leaders have to be able to explain that to their families as they're signing up for the trip. Hidden fees, enough chaperones. I mean, I have 4 chaperones. Will it be enough? Will it be enough? And when you add chaperones, you have to ask kids to pay more money for these chaperones. Think if all of us come down with COVID, who will take the kids back home? Call it Micah. Hey, Micah, could you fly to Portugal real quick? Dude, just get a sec. That's like, you have to adopt all of them, Beth. I mean, I forgot the whole adoption thing. You got to do that one too. So the original plans of, we just need 2 for every 16, I think is the original one we're kind of following. It's different now. Hidden fees. I can tell you with my students that if I cancel 109 to 45 days before we go, kids are going to lose significant amounts of money. If I cancel 44 days before the trip, so again, this is all about timelines, and let's say half of my kids with that insurance cancel out, the price will stay. So I could be taking 2 kids to Spain and Portugal, but it entirely depends all on the timeline. So you have to be able to say that to families. Vaccines and quarantines and the State Department. Right now, the State Department is a 3, which means the travel alert, which means EF won't let us go, period. So right now, we're not going. But let's say it changes. What if the State Department says this country you can go and this country you can't, or here in our own country you can? And vaccines, what happens if a country is going to say, oh yeah, you can come, but now you need a vaccine, and a family doesn't know they needed it, and now it looks like we are saying you have to have a vaccine, and so it all ends up being very, very intense and confusing if you're not upfront with families before you sign up. Go ahead, Kelly. I'm almost done, I promise. Timelines. Passports right now are backed up 3 months or more. So my students had to get theirs about 5 months early just in case. I had one of my little girlies, she's 16. There's nothing on her record. She's just brand new child. And it took her 5 months to get a passport. So that's one thing you have to think of. But you also have to know exact timelines on cancellation, rescheduling, in order to be fair to the families. Imagine if you never told them, oh, by the way, I don't really know the timelines. I'm just going to pick a day and decide. You will lose all of your money. Well, that's too bad, so sad. And like Micah mentioned with fundraising, where will those fundraising dollars go? How will you explain to the community? Well, our leader didn't really know what was going on, and so we had to cancel, and so on and so forth. And Kelly, can you go to the next slide for me? This was pulled from a video too. This is what I showed my kiddos and my families. And you don't need to read all of this, but what I'm saying is there are so many ifs and so many different things that can go on. And I have so clear with my families of, hey, this is if we have no COVID issues, and this is a group decision and an individual decision. And really, because we're locked in and kids have paid, we're working on it. But it is an incredibly complex situation to try and have tours at this moment when no one really quite knows what's going on. Callie, last slide. How am I doing? Is it a medium presentation? Okay, I'm trying really hard. Oh, okay. I really do believe that our trips are safe. Like I said, we're so thankful that our students are able to have this transformative experience. And I mean, Callie's been on the trips with us. It changes kids. And I think every year that, oh, it's fine, it's just a normal trip. And I get to see my kids become better people. And so I want nothing more than to take my kids abroad. It might be to Spain and Portugal, it might be to Norway, and it might be to India, doesn't matter. And I know that they're safe. And I know even if we chose something here within the country that they're safe. But going forward in our COVID world, our COVID life, leaders, especially for the sake of the district, have to remain completely transparent. And it might mean that you might not get any kids sign up, but you have to know exactly what you're doing, and you have to cover all of your bases. For our sake, for everybody in the entire district, we have to know. And families, when they're signing up, they have to realize that it's completely dynamic. And at one time, you might say, we're going here, we're not going there, never mind, we're not going at all. And in the end, we decide, not the State Department, not, I don't know, the county, it's us. And I say to my kids every time, I was like, I will not put you at risk, and you have to trust me to make that decision because I know what I'm doing. Shocking, but I do sometimes, okay? And thankfully, my parents trust me. They're able to get through that and get past that. But what we're seeing with what's happening with other groups and what happened last spring is the leader and the district did not say they were in charge, and they let other people make those decisions for us. So I think I did it, medium presentation. Does anybody have any questions for me about TRIP? It's a lot, and this is all stuff that has come about because of COVID on top of what we already do with planning trips.
So we're still kind of on target?
Yeah,
Anything?
so what we're doing is we are continuing to have our meetings as if we are still going, so that way we're ready, but we are not asking our families to do anything that would be paying, I don't want to say like cause harm to them, but like we're going to be asking, hey, you guys already have your passports? I need a copy of your passports. Oh, by the way, I need a copy of your insurance card. So we're continuing as if we're going, but I'm not going to be like, hey, I need that $200 in tips, and I'm not going to give that back. Yeah. So it's continuing as if we're going, still have our cultural lessons. They're not going to be any worse off because of those things. For us, 109 days out is March 1st. So by March 1st, we will know. I could wait. I could wait until the week before. I don't think it's fair to our families. I don't think it's fair to our community. And we have students who, yes, do have the insurance and could get all their money back, but I have some students who couldn't. And so March 1st is where the most amount of money will go back to our students and have the most options for all of our students. But if you get a leader who doesn't know that or doesn't pay attention, it truly could be catastrophic for us. It really could. You had a question?
I'm just not sure what we're talking about. Are we talking about trips that were postponed last spring and are now being pushed? Or are we talking about planning new trips coming up next year or this year? I'm just not sure where we are.
Both.
Both. Yeah.
Well, we have to remember, part of this is just how to plan a trip too. And Stephanie's trying to illustrate what considerations need to be made, and this should provide a lot of confidence in approving trips after listening to something like this.
It's a lot.
Question, so how many kids do you have waiting for this trip?
So for my trip, mine was not postponed. Mine was approved in January. It's supposed to be this June.
Oh, for the one that was postponed, the one that was just.
I can't speak of that. Micah, you might know.
So
how many
like
kids?
The Washington DC trip last year with KMS got canceled.
Yeah.
And not just postponed because those kids were 8th graders. So you had kids that sold Toyota raffle tickets and did, other fundraising, and then the trip gets canceled, and then where's my money? Or where'd that money go? Those are when you're looking at these trips and how they're being funded, and if students are using our community to help support those, then what happens to those dollars? And so really the question is, if there's a trip that's a Montana history trip potentially that was going to be proposed, and a trip to Costa Rica either during spring break or this summer. And you give the approval as a board to say yes to that, and then they start fundraising and moving on, and then the trip gets canceled. If their company that they're working with, if it's not EF, if it's another one that goes bankrupt or whatever happens, where is that responsibility going to lie for the district in terms of approving that and taking into consideration who knows what things will look like in March with the pandemic, and whether we'll have restrictions or there'll be more restrictions, or they're not going to let Americans into their country, or whatever it may be. And so those are the challenges that our trip leaders need to work through, and when they come to the board, they need to be able to say, yes, this is all the steps that we've taken, the insurance is in place, the families are notified and informed of cancellations and refund policies and all of those things, because when those things happen and they get canceled, they get mad. And they want something like, is the district going to refund their money? As a community member, if I gave $1,000 to a kid to support his trip, do I get the $1,000 back, or does that become the district's? And then what is that money spent on in the future? Is it a different trip, a different kid? Those are some of the challenges. And then I think even just the consideration of health concerns. If a company says, oh yeah, we got everything covered, and then a kid's on a bus and ends up with COVID, what are they going to do with that kid? Are they going to, stop at, Old Faithful and let the kid out of the bus? Those are the challenges. Those are the things that I think, as you consider whether or not to approve a trip as a board, have all of those procedures and safeguards been put in place by the person requesting.
Any other questions? Kelly?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I've been fortunate to go on 2 trips to Europe with Stephanie, and one of the things that really stood out to me was the year prior to these trips, Stephanie really emphasizes the student attitude part with the students, that they really have to be game for anything that's going to happen, and everything is with a positive attitude, and no matter what is thrown at them on this trip, they've got to be able to step up and respond appropriately and in a positive fashion. And I think part of the success of it's a huge life lesson for kids. I mean, this last trip we went on, we weren't supposed to go to Belgium, but we ended up in Belgium. Part of us ended up, we were basically scattered all over Europe trying to get to where we were supposed to go, and it was actually kind of fun. And but we were scattered.
You weren't on my flight, Callie, where we got canceled 3 times. Well, and kids were like, I'm going to Africa. I can't do this anymore, madame.
But our kids rose to the occasion because we prepped them a year in advance that this might not be perfect. And that's part of, the leaders are doing that prepping, and that's what it takes. It's a lot of work. A lot of work.
To do it the right way.
Yeah. And I'm telling you what, this woman's a pro at it.
Thank you.
She is, I could stretch this out a little bit longer, but Mike could probably nudge me under the table. But
Short.
It's amazing.
So this on our agenda is discussion. We will be looking at things, travel requests in the future. So all good questions to be keep in our mind when they come up. And thank you for all your hard work on this, and I hope in June we get to go.
I hope so. We'll know by March 1st. So we'll decide.
Personnel action items.
Thank you.
I move approval of personnel action items.
Second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Amy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Contracts.
Yeah.
a district-wide one for the summer.
So this is an agreement between the district, Flathead High School, and Summit Health and Fitness Center. They provide a athletic trainer at no cost to the district, and this is a contract that we've had in the past, and it's just time to renew, and pretty basic.
So this contract doesn't coincide with a school year, it just comes up in November of each year?
I've been in the job 3 months, Jack. I'm gonna say, yeah, you are correct, sir. I don't know why it came when it did.
I mean,
Yeah,
what's that?
I could take a guess at it, because we worked, Mark Plateau and I worked with the, Summit and all that to come up
The
with
hospital.
contracts in the hospital. And it was at the beginning of the school year, so I don't know if we're just offset, and that's only a guess. I have no.
Well, I remember when there was a discussion about whether they'd even do it for a while, and for a while they didn't do it. And so I didn't know if, I mean, it's fine, whatever the timeline is, I'm just wondering if they could make it easier, and, well, maybe it doesn't matter.
It might be on their fiscal year, so they're trying to get it on the books for
Okay.
January
No, I'm
20.
fine with it, it was a curiosity question.
You care to make a motion?
Sure. Made.
I'll second.
And Sue seconds that. Further discussion? Amy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, letter of support. So this came out, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Will asked about writing a letter to the county health department as a trustee. And, you know, the thought was that really as a board, we are stronger than as an individual. And so the hope was that we would have a letter that we could send to a couple places. Number one, letter to the editor. Number two, the county health department. My concern is particularly going into Thanksgiving and going into the holiday season is that we're going to see a spike in the number of cases of COVID, both with our kids and our staff. But we do know, and we do have good information that, you know, by washing your hands, wearing masks, and watching your distance, it makes a difference. You know, we've got good data on that from our schools, and that if everybody in our community can watch those things, we stand a better chance of keeping our schools open. So my hope is that we can unanimously approve this and push it out to our community. You know, this isn't something we typically do, but we're not typically in a pandemic either. So I don't know if you had times to review the letter and would sign on to that, but I would ask that this is something as a board of directors, we could support our schools in a very verbal way and encourage people to not necessarily not see their families, but be aware. Be aware, you know, do what you can to stay healthy. And if you're sick, stay home. So, Will, does that kind of sum up? And I appreciate you improving the letter.
Sure.
So, any thoughts?
I think it's great. Thank you. A wonderful idea.
And it's beautifully expressed, whoever of you wrote it. It's really nicely written.
Thank you. Thanks, Will. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Well,
Jack?
in the, right where the cursor is, where it says due to spread, I was wondering if the word cause should be in there. Contact tracing has indicated that KPS COVID cases have been caused from spread outside the school district, as opposed to due to. There, I didn't know if there was if it was a stronger word to help get the message that we've experienced. there's a way to have the word cause in there somewhere. I'm not sure just where it would be or what other word would be included. I was just thinking the word cause might be a stronger word to convey what we're saying.
I'd be fine with that change, having caused by spread outside the school. Is that stronger?
Fine.
So we will make that change. And then, ultimately, it'd be nice to be able, the newspapers have a limit on the number of words, maybe they can expand that, but I would like to be able to attach everyone's name, and I'll reach out to Ursula, she's not here. But it'd be good to attach everyone's name, that we stand behind this as a united board, and we want the best for our community, we want the best for our kids, and we want the best for our schools. So with that one change, is there a trustee who would make that motion to approve this?
I so move.
Thank you, Sue. And Kim seconds that. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Amy?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate you all putting your name on that. Consent agenda. Elementary only.
Yeah, we have a fundraiser from Russell School. It's for a book fair. It's all online. Things that we've typically done in the past in person have moved to a virtual setting, so.
Jeff?
Well, I was wondering how it was a fundraiser when it talked about revenue and didn't talk about expenditures and didn't talk about profits. But it sounded to me like you could just purchase the books at a certain price and there was no indication of what happened with the price you paid for it. So it's just a curiosity question.
So on an elementary fundraiser such as this, I believe what happens is the books come, well, Bill can probably tell you.
They get credit from the book company to purchase more books for their library.
Oh, okay.
So the books come to the school, you
The
would
book
normally
comes
set
to
them
the
up,
school, and
the
they
family
present
library,
them to the kids.
whatever sales you send back, right?
Yeah, and then those sales go back to the company, and then in turn, you get credit to purchase books from the company to stock your library.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's an elementary issue. Is there an elementary trustee who would care to make the motion to approve that?
I make the motion that we approve and go ahead with the fundraiser.
Thank you. Okay. Kim made the motion and Rebecca seconds it. All in favor, elementary trustees, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Scott?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda district-wide.
I'd like to go line item by line item through the warrant. This is going to be the shortest meeting we've had in my brief tenure. Looking to extend it.
I tried to get you.
And you only been on the job for 3 months?
Lance, I'd like to make a motion. We reevaluate Micah's contract.
We're tabling that.
Yeah. Scott, would you care to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, though?
I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Diane seconds it. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Amy?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Informational items and reports. Amy, do you want to start?
Oh, sorry. I'm just so grateful for all the work that the board and the administration and that everyone's doing. I'm just so impressed that school is in session, and I just thank everyone. It's just really impressive. Thanks.
Scott?
I just want to say congratulations to Glacier High School soccer team for winning state championship. That's awesome. And no other report from me.
Rebecca?
I was lucky enough to be at parent-teacher conferences for Flathead High Schools last week, and I was incredibly impressed with teachers. Ms. Payne has done an unbelievable job assembling a fabulous staff of really skilled teachers who feel very empowered to put in programs that are of interest to them and the students, and I was really blown away.
Kim?
Just a comment, like Micah, I've only been doing this for 3 months. For me personally, I really like listening from the students that are involved and how they share their experience from them, not being coached by someone else. So for me, that's very rewarding for me.
Sue?
I just wanted to share with other board members what MTSBA is up to right now. Of course, they are very concerned with the results of the elections. But we had the delegate assembly last week on Friday, and we are in the midst of strategic planning for MTSBA. And they really go together well, but they have 3 things that they are really looking at right now from both of these meetings. The first thing is to maintain everything that we have right now, as far as funding, the flexibility to do things within the school districts. That is their main concern moving into this legislative session. The second one is we have heard from our governor-elect, that we will have a flat budget, statewide, a flat budget. So MTSBA has shifted some of the things that they're working on that they had planned to bring forward to the legislative session, but based on this information, anything that has an appropriation consideration with it that's on the B list right now. Their A list is maintaining what we have. The B list is anything that will require more appropriations. Some of the recent developments and things we talked about at the strategic planning meeting are the economic challenges that we're having, things that will result in a decline in state revenue, i.e. it might be taxes. We've talked about that almost at every finance committee meeting, but that is an issue. The polarization in the perception of danger of COVID-19 combined with the surges. That's a big concern of theirs as we move forward. And then the sharp differences in opinion in our Republican Party, which is now probably going to have the leadership in state legislature. This has played out recently in the Joint Rules Committee, which if they had their way, it would have allowed the legislature to overrule executive orders. And also, it would have allowed electronic polling of the legislators rather than having them do it in person. Okay, it would be as if somebody, sent out a questionnaire to us and said, how do you feel about traveling abroad? But their main thing, so going into this, is to protect fiscal year 2022, the A and B shortfalls from COVID impacts. And they have 2 bills written up to do that. They're both on the A list. And one of them is, and the one that will probably, they'll spend a lot of time pushing this, is it's kind of a hold harmless, that if your enrollment goes down, your A and B count goes down, you're not going to lose any money because we're going to take we're gonna average. Or you're gonna take the higher enrollment tier. But a big thing that my takeaway from this is in the Flathead Valley, we have a lot of the leaders in the state legislature. Keith Regier will probably be a leader, Mark Blaisdell, they're both right here. If we need to, because lobbying is going to be different this year, the legislature meeting is going to be different this year. They're going to rely on grassroots support and grassroots informal lobbying. And I think if we need to, I think we need to approach some of our state legislators and encourage them to support education. One nice thing is, and I know Glenn, you mentioned this too, and MTSBA has mentioned it, that they feel that education is going to be some of the first things on the legislative docket. And so we'll do okay. Usually it's the last thing, and we don't know what kind of money we'll have, but they all feel that the budget, everything but education, will drag it out. But education will be first, which will be a good thing because we will know right away what we have, and before they realize how much they maybe have to cut. What am I forgetting? Diane, Ursula, and I, and Lance listened.
And I'm glad you're giving the review of it, because everything she said, I heard it, got it. Thank you.
Told you, I was taking a shower right before this meeting and said, oh, Lance asked me to do this. But it's gonna be an interesting legislative session. And I tell you, the one takeaway I have, because I've spent a lot of time on Zoom calls with MTSBA, is I'm very impressed with the staff that they have, their knowledge, their years of experience. I mean, we got to know Deborah Silk when she was here with the superintendent search very well, but in talking with the rest of this group, they are all very impressive, and I am very thankful that we have them. I already wrote myself a note to ask them if they have an opinion on the traveling abroad information. So, but yeah, I think it's kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to be made.
Yeah.
That are going to affect our kids. Diane, do you have a report?
No, that phone call was very interesting to listen to, and how we're based upon makeup with state government now, how we're going to make some real tough decisions. Good. Yep. Nothing else.
Mark? Will?
Yeah, I'll join Scott in congratulating the Wolfpack soccer team with a special shout out to the goalies and the back line for only allowing one goal over the entire championship series.
Jack?
Nothing.
I'd just like to give a shout out to the HR department. You know, I know Micah sent out the report that maybe on Monday there was 96 openings and we filled 91. That's great. You know, I see the report that recruiting's going high. Came in tonight and saw a young man, a student that was cleaning out trash cans. You know, so it's those things that are keeping our district open. You know, when I read the MTSBA daily dispatches and I see schools are closing, it's because they can't staff it. You know, so the HR department is obviously working hard to, and they're doing their part. So kudos to them. Wanted to acknowledge that. Administrative reports, Micah.
Nothing major. I just want to let you know that the Finance Committee, the first Finance Committee of the month is going to have a facilities focus to it. Did I get that right, Glenn? And then the second Finance Committee will have more of the business end of district operations. So trying to maybe have a little bit more focus on that facility side in that first finance meeting. There's lots of conversations to be had, just around the district and facilities, and having Greg and getting going with that department and some of the things that are going on there, I think will be good for the board to be up to speed on those, and then start potentially working towards maybe a committee for long-range facility planning and looking ahead to the future. So,
Kelly?
The last time we met, then I had the opportunity to spend a full day in a kindergarten at Edgerton, and the reason I had picked that kindergarten specifically was because they are doing their educational delivery is through play. You've probably heard Jen Stein talk about the play-based model, and I kind of wanted to see it for myself. We order consumables at the elementary level, and we, talk zoophonics and go math and all that, but I wanted to see how that actually was carried out in class when you're using play as the delivery system. And I'm telling you what, it was really quite a special thing to observe. And so we're going to continue to work on that and see if we can get some traction to expand the model into some other kindergarten areas. And I was very, very grateful for that opportunity. Bill and I also have completed our monthly check-ins with all the rec teachers. We once a month book Google Meets with the teachers, and we have 3 different ones. We have an elementary one, a middle school one, and a high school one. And today we finished our high school group, and it was noticeable their anxiety level had decreased considerably from a month ago. We're just being able to settle into a routine and kind of know it's all about routine. And once you get routine, then you get a little more safety built in. And they just were in a really good place, and they are working incredibly hard for the district. They're very dedicated. They're challenging each other and providing tips to how to do things better all the time. So it's really, again, it's a joy to be able to work with those teachers that are doing that. Yeah, had a real good week. A lot of things going on that are just normal things that this district does. So very, very good week.
Thank you, Kelly. Bill?
Yeah, I think it's important that we continue to recognize the resilience of our staff and students in our buildings. I have had, I'm going to call it the honor, to spend some time last week in a particular building because of a quarantined principal. I've added another building to my list this week, and you walk around those buildings and you look at the kids and you see what the teachers are doing. And it's good stuff, and they're doing what they need to do, to keep our doors open and keep everybody safe. I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen, but know that our people are working hard for us to continue the path we're in.
You want to talk a little bit about the most recent supply purchase?
Oh, yeah. So I sent an email out to families and staff members of our most recent supply purchase. We've got, I don't even know what the numbers are anymore off the top of my head. More sanitizer, more masks, more disinfectant sprays, more alcohol wipes, in what is our hope that will last us through June, as Steve Jack said me. So we've got a pretty darn good supply. The one thing that is probably in the highest demand, that at the rate they're going out, I'm not sure if we can, with even the amount that was bought, are the disposable masks. So we're going to be talking about that and how we can make sure that we're doing a good job of, number one, bringing masks to school, but the number two, how we're giving those out and what responsibilities we all have. But thousands and thousands, I think there were over 30,000 adults this child, and, so we have lots of things that were purchased, with the hope to get us through June. 30,000 adult masks, 25,000 children masks. As I try to navigate here.
30, 50-gallon drums of bio-disinfectant.
30, 50-gallon drums of disinfectant. 4,320 packages of alcohol wipes, hand sanitizer. Even though we have all kinds of it to our availability, the medium-sized canister is the most popular, and there's over 3,000 cans of that is available. So we're stocked with, the necessary PPE to be able to run this through June if we have to. So it's interesting. You don't know what the future holds, but you certainly want to be prepared for whatever there is when it comes to it. So.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, in Micah's report, he noted that we had some rapid tests, like 880 of them. Where did they come from? How do they work? What do you plan on doing with them? Can we get more?
I'm testing myself every hour. Yeah, we do have 880 of them, and that's what they came from the state. It was an opt-in to get those. The state got about 400,000 of them, and then said we're going to distribute it to schools, universities, and one of the challenges with the rapid test is, how do you do that in a school setting? If you don't want people in your building that are symptomatic, how do you use those? And with 880 and not knowing if we're going to get more, they have not said. How do we use those? For our purposes, we are in contact with Care Here and looking at sharing those with them and using them for staff to get the rapid test. There's questions about the reliability of them. It's an antigen test, not a PCR test. And depending on the website you search, you might get 75% reliability or you might get 95% reliability. But generally speaking, they do provide some value. If you're symptomatic and you test, 75% chance it's going to come back. If you're positive, it'll come back positive. If you're symptomatic and you test and it comes back negative, they're still going to recommend that you do a PCR test. So there's some challenges with how you roll that out, but traded emails today with one of our people with Care Here, and they are interested in having them. They've actually reached out to the state as well to ask if they could have some. So they were free, and so could prove beneficial for the district.
All right. Any other COVID-related questions? We do have some meetings coming up. We have a regular scheduled board meeting on the 24th of November. Right now, we don't have any pressing agenda items, but we're going to kind of wait till the week before, as things could arise pretty dramatically. So we're hoping to be able to take that meeting off, but we'll see. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second. For discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.